hi. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope everybody is well. I think I should turn my camera. What do you guys think? How are you guys viewing me? Hi, Donna. You gotta turn it. Excuse me, y'all. Please forgive the challenged person. You would think I would know how to do this by now, but I'm struggling. And it's a lot going on in the world, so thank you, Gretel. Hi, you guys. So today we're gonna have a conversation about what's going on right now. Like, our world is going through a lot. We have a lot of challenges with our leadership and our communities. Donna, come out and then rejoin. A lot of challenges in our communities. And like right now, it's up to us. Like, it's up to us to tell the government and the leadership and people what we need, because for so long, everybody has been speaking for us. And everybody has been doing stuff for us without us. And already the way like what we're living off of is 400 plus years of colonization, and like it's playing out right now in front of everybody in the world. And also, so let me view, and also at the same time, so let me do that. Do it again, Donna. And also at the same time, I think that our education system has educated people so poorly that like people don't really have the full historical view and context of what today's protests and Black Lives Matter and all the riots and all the stuff that's going on. Like, people, I believe, based on lack of education and history, they have a warped view on what's going on. And so today, me and Donna Hylton are we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it from all lenses. And some people might walk away mad, but the truth is the truth, facts are facts, and history is history. So Donna, do it one more time, because somebody else tried to join at the same time as you, and so it wouldn't let me add you. So do it one more time. Go back out and start all over again. So yes, you guys, we are in some sad times. And then I know you guys saw Pelosi this morning with the kente cloth on. Like, I don't know what is going on. Hi, Rashid. I don't know what's going on. But I know that everything that needs to be fixed, it has to be through our lens. It has to be informed by us. Nothing for us without us. And so I'm just waiting for Donna. And also, like, if you guys have anything you want to ask, like, let's talk about it. Like, I'm here. Let's talk about it. And we're going to talk about it in such a way that, oh, here we go. We're waiting for Donna. Wonderful, wonderful Donna.
I
Hi,
think I'm in.
Donna.
Hi.
How are you?
A little tired, but I'm all right.
It's
All
a
right.
lot going on in the world. Like, it's a lot.
There's a
I'm
lot
happy
going
for
on in the
you.
world.
I'm also
You
happy to
too.
be in this fight with you. I'm happy to be one of the other Black women voices that's, with you. I stand in solidarity, sister.
Yeah, always, always, always this.
Yeah. So,
I was gonna say, I wanted to say this, as a Black mother in this moment, in every moment, but right now in this moment, because what we watched, what we saw, we cannot escape that. It just adds to all the trauma and all the pain and all the harm that's been forced on us for centuries, and just like my heart, there's so many emotions. There's so many emotions, and I try to check my anger, you know, because anger could be a tool, a force for good, as opposed to everyone thinking angry black women, angry black people, angry black men is bad. No, anger could be used for good. And so it's like, you know, I try to focus on that, because too much is just too much. Just too much. I just had to say that.
So, I mean, I know the world right now is heartbroken. We've been heartbroken since Emmett Till. Like, we have been experiencing this since 1600s. Like, this is nothing new to us. Police brutality is nothing new to us. Police brutality in the Black community is definitely not anything new to us. And lack of guidance and lack of, like, the legislators, like, they should have been put something proactive in place so that we wouldn't still be dealing with this. Like, they should have already defunded the police officers a long time ago. But as we know, like, even in the communities, like, if I apply for a grant in my community, the sheriffs get a piece of it. Like, the different local law enforcement get a piece of it. Like, it's a trickle down. Like, if I want something for the school or for the park, like, and also what we know too is if we're trying to get a bill passed, who's always the number one person that's coming against public and safety is always officers. And we're trying to be proactive in getting different laws and legislation passed for people coming home from prison, or to maybe ensure that people don't get extreme sentencing, or to ensure that people are getting fair and equal rights and protection. It's always law enforcement that comes against anything that we try to do. So tell me what you think about that.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, but I was looking at some of the questions or some of these comments that was coming up. You know, I'm always keep it transparent and honest. And, you know, I see a brother that sent up something about, or someone say something about, what about the brothers that are in prison? And so let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. I spent 27 years in prison, from an adolescent to an older woman. The middle-aged woman that came out 8 years ago. I know that there are men in prison. I know, because people flocked to the men in prison and made sure that they were okay as much as they can within the systems that oppress us. No one was flocking to the prison to make sure the women were okay and continue to be okay. I have to center Black women right now in this moment, in this movement, like I've been doing for 8 years. This is not an affront. This is not a negation. This is not anything about my Black kings, my Black brothers, our Black men. We know that. But just like right now, we know that no one is talking up for Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland. We know no one is even mentioning Eleanor Bumpers. We know no one is mentioning Lavina Johnson. We know no one is mentioning the Black women who have been murdered, raped, abused, and harmed by police and all the systems in this country that oppress us. I want to center that right now, because this is not about separating us. We're talking about inclusion. We are also killed and harmed by police. We are also in prison based on lies and police brutality and all the things that lock up our men also lock us up too. So let's center that. Stop separating us, but include us. We demand to be included. I demand it right now. I don't want to continue saying, oh, but what about Black men? I had to center that. And yeah, this is my anger coming out in force to say, acknowledge me, acknowledge April, acknowledge us as Black women.
I think, like, we were talking about being othered, and I saw the comment also, and I do understand the importance of it. Like, even with Represent Justice, we have campaigns for a campaign right now in Oklahoma that there is an innocent man on death row. So we are advocating, of course, for our Black men. Of course. But at the same time, Black women are always, women period, Black women are always getting othered. Like, here we are to talk about the women who have been murdered. And it's like, understandably, and I don't want to misspeak when I say this, like, my heart broke when I saw what just happened to George Floyd. My heart broke. Like, I'm in Sacramento. I was when they murdered Stephon Clark in his grandmother's backyard. Like, these are our husbands. These are our kids. These are our brothers, our
Exactly.
uncles. So
Exactly.
as any woman of color, like you are, of course, gonna be heartbroken and hurt, because like the attack has been against the black man since, of course, the beginning, and then it came with the crack and gangs and drugs and just all these different things that have been about the black community. But today we're going to talk about the women who also have been brutally murdered by the police that nobody is talking about. We all can say
Right.
Sandra Bland, like everybody can say Sandra Bland's name, but there's Corinne Gaines. Like there's so
Exactly.
many other women that nobody is talking about.
Exactly.
And actually,
Exactly.
if we were to address police brutality, then you can address the system as it pertains to locking up the African American community and how they treat them. Because if you look at Just Mercy, like look at the depiction in the black community, but it's for everybody. It's not just the men. Women get overshadowed because men are the minority. I mean, the majority out of all of us.
Exactly.
But the
Exactly.
women are here too. And women stand on the front line for families and communities. Like a lot of these women, primary caretaker. Now the primary caretaker has been murdered because why? There was a no
Exactly.
knock law in her state to where they could just come in there and just murder her. 2 months later, like now
Exactly.
we're talking about it, but nobody has been arrested. Oh no, they might have just got arrested like yesterday or the day before. But prior to that, prior to George Floyd, like nobody was talking about her. And so I think as
Exactly.
a whole, when we look at our government as a whole, it needs to be fixed, and we need to make sure that we're inclusive of men and women.
And I'm speaking from my personal experience and experience of so many other women that I did time with and women that I got to know. But I've been out here these 8 years doing this work with fighting. I've been fighting since I was in the prison. In the prison where I was at in New York State, the maximum security prison, we are the ones that fought to get a program to address HIV and AIDS in the prisons. We started that in Bedford Hills. We fought to get college back into prisons in Bedford Hills. I was part of that fight where people are benefiting from it now in the prison. We've been fighting for so much. We sat down. We had a silent protest sitting outside of our cells and daring those men, the SWAT team, the riot squad, to come and do whatever they had to do. But we were going to make sure that they answered us. They responded to our medical concerns. They responded to those sisters that was dead or halfway dead in their cells. We made sure we did that. We did that. A lot of the programs that exist now, no one's talking about. People still don't want to look to what the work that was done in Bedford Hills by women that were incarcerated. No one wants to acknowledge that, but I'm telling you about it. That's why I wrote my story. No one wants me to talk about how a white detective, when I was raped by an older man and abused, he took me to the hospital because I had burns on my body. And when I finished at the hospital, he was supposed to be taking me back to precinct. Instead of doing that, he pulled me over into a dark street corner in the Bronx and raped me in the back of his unmarked car. That happens daily. Daily. We are hurt. Black lives matter. That means black men and black women. Black lives matter. Black life matters. Overall, black life matters.
Everybody. And so, I mean, just to give a little bit, because if they wanted to fact check you, you just gave your whole resume on how you can be here and why you are an expert and why you should be allowed to speak on this. So now, for those of you who do not know, I myself was incarcerated for 17 years in the California Department of Corrections. I went in when I was 19. But the first time I was arrested and came in contact with the police, I was 15. And I was in a mental hospital. And I was in a mental hospital in San Juan Capistrano, very, very, very upscale neighborhood. And it was only 2 African-American girls in this mental hospital, and the rest were about 15 or 16 Caucasian children. I hate the word Caucasian. It sounds so like, I don't know, but white children. And so we all decided to have a sit out this day. So we're having a sit out. We're going to storm the gates. We're going to storm out, and we're going to run to the beach. We're 15 and 16. What the hell do we know? So that day, the police come to answer to the sit out, and the only 2 people who went to jail were the 2 African-American girls. None of the white kids went to jail, and I was under my dad's insurance. Like I was there under my dad's insurance. I was there just like everybody else had the right to be. But my first actual arrest was criminalization of a child that was in a mental health hospital. And that started the pipeline. There goes the pipeline. Now I'm in juvenile hall for 4 and 5 months because my dad, we having family problems. So now I'm criminalized because my dad won't come get me. Initially criminalized because I was a black child. And none of the white kids had to go through what I went through. And who's to say if I wouldn't have got arrested that day, what would have happened to my life?
Exactly.
But it started at 15. I was arrested for being a young black child. And I just think like nobody thinks like it can happen to us. Like nobody would have thought that Breonna Taylor, they would have ran in her house and murdered her, or Sandra Bland on a basic traffic stop. But it happens. It happens
All the time.
And then like now we have everybody wanting to unite with Black Lives Matter, and we got all these protests and all these legislators like this one, and Nancy Pelosi with the kente cloth on. But we've been screaming this for years. We've never been free. So for, like I said, for 400 years, we built equity, and we gave all the equity that the country has, we built it. And then right after that, when we did get the chance to, when they allowed us to leave, violently leave, because we had to go free ourselves in our own civil war. Then when we start to build our equity, they bomb it, they burn it, they torch it. Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, they burnt it to the ground.
And let nobody, this is a little known fact because I just found this out, so I want to educate my people. Central Park was originally a black community. A black community, I forgot the name right now, but a black community, Central Park. So they destroyed the black community to create Central Park. Let's be clear, the Village in New York, I'm talking about New York State, we can hit all parts of this country right now, but we're talking about, you know, in New York, the Village, prime real estate. Who was there first? Black folks that were freed, so-called freed slave, but still made and forced basically to build Wall Street and everything else. That's why there was a Black Wall Street first, and no one wants to talk about it, how they bombed it, how they massacred and slaughtered black people who were doing good and were contributing and didn't need to depend on anyone, didn't need to depend on white people, didn't need to depend on other people coming into their communities, opening up stores and businesses, and you can't go in their communities and open up a store or a business. Try that one. In every black community in this country I've been around, I see other people have businesses and stores in these communities profiting off of our black lives. But we cannot go into their communities and have a store, a business, or anything else. Matter of fact, make sure when the sun goes down, you're not caught. Let's make that clear.
Like, everybody can build equity in this country. People can come from other countries and build equity. They have more stores and gas stations and hair supplies, but the black community can't build equity.
Exactly.
It's just amazing. We can't get loans. If you want to talk about like redlining back in the day, like everything has been targeted for us to never have anything. And then you have anti-blackness on top of that. And I'm not talking about anti-blackness from the white man and the white woman. I'm talking about anti-blackness within our own people.
We were taught to hate our
people who are defending like the brutalities, who's defending like we still are living in a colonized structure. Like nothing has changed. And now we're back to asking the colonizer to now give us the laws and to rewrite some stuff that they actually wrote for us. Like back when they abolished slavery, and they started doing convict leasing, the laws that were written were specific only to black people. They weren't laws for everybody. It was specific to the black community. If you don't put your head down, you're going to get arrested. If you don't answer to the word boy, you're going to get arrested. If you don't answer to the word nigger, you're going to get arrested. These were laws specifically for black people once they abolished slavery. That started the convict leasing, that now they can go back to the same plantation that they had been released from, because now they are in violation of a crime because you just want to abuse them, and you wrote laws specific to black people to spite them.
Exactly. Exactly. And I see people commenting. I shout out my sister, Miss V, BK Samira, saying that don't forget how they bombed Move in Philly in 1985, right? And we know that they're still in prison now. We're fighting to get them out. We know that after Dr. King started talking about equity, that they killed him, that they got a black person to kill him. Let's be very clear, because we have that. We've been taught to hate ourselves. We've been taught to look at each other like we need to act like, and crabs in a bucket don't really do this if you think about it, but to pull each other down and not let anyone go anywhere. As soon as one makes it, you want to kill them. You don't see any other race or culture of people doing that but our black people. Like I grew up in the Bronx and I came to this country. Hip hop started in the BX. Hip hop started, but it didn't start with this culture of violence like this. It wasn't created to have black people killing each other. That's not what it was about. That's not what it is about. But as soon as a black person aspires and gets someplace, they're looked at like, oh my God, like they got too much. He or she has too much. We got to get them out. We got to get out. Why? Why? And this is why, if you look at it, a lot of times these white nationalists or white supremacists, they're like, oh, we don't need to do much because they're killing themselves. Look at those Negroes. They're killing themselves. They're doing our jobs for us. Our black children, our black people need to understand that.
That can also be taken back historically also, because the original slave that was traded off to the white man was a prisoner of war. So it wasn't like that. But initially they came in and they passed it off like, oh, let's take this off your hands, because these were their prisoners of war. So it starts way back then.
Exactly.
But now I want to shift this a little bit. And I want to talk about the looting and the rioting. But before I talk about that, I first want to say, we weren't the ones initially that kicked off the riots. Like when you look at them first buildings that were blown up and bombed, that was heavy artillery and military stuff. That's not stuff that we have. A Molotov cocktail is not going to level a building. So initially, like when you see all the pictures of the protesters and the pictures of the people who are actually looting, they're not black.
They're not black. They're not. They're not. They're not. And let's be clear. We were talking about it earlier. We've been putting it out there in social media. Where did we learn it from anyway? For those of our black people that are looting, where did we learn it from? White people have looted the entire continent. They have not stepped foot on anybody's land and not looted it. They've created museums and, libraries and all these things with other people's stuff. And they auction it off amongst each other for the highest bid. Oh, you was $1 million here, $1 billion there. Who's doing that? This is our stuff. You walk into me, oh, this is the African American section. This is this section. This is the indigenous section. This is this section. Where did you get it from? And who gave you the right to take it? Go into somebody's land and talk about you own it. You don't own it.
A few years ago, somebody was suing the museum. A country in Africa was suing the museum because they wanted their stuff back. And the museum didn't feel like they needed to give it back. But they knew it was not theirs. Like, it's not yours. You acquired it from somewhere. It's not yours. And so...
You ain't acquired it. You stole it. They acquired it. They stole it.
I was being polite.
No.
And then so I've had some interesting conversations with white people who want to discuss looting and the rioting. And like, I think that people don't understand how insecure people are from growing up in food deserts. So we have people with food insecurities. We have people with money insecurities because they've never been able to pay their bills. We have communities where the gas, like I can go to the white neighborhood, the gas will be $3. If I go to the black neighborhood, the gas is $3.10. If I go to the black store that I had to walk 5 miles to get to, because it's the only store in the whole zip code, then the items there are also going to be $5 and $6 higher.
Yep.
$5 and $6 higher. And this is also the community where what I don't know if everybody knows that when the school systems are funded by the property taxes from the houses in the community. So that's why the white neighborhoods have better education systems. The black schools, they don't have any property, they don't own anything because we don't get loans from banks. Every time we do try to buy something, the interest rate is so sky high that they're trying to put us in these upside down loans. So of course nobody in the black community that is a part of the looting and the rioting has any ownership because they've never had anything, and they watch their grandma walk to the store 5 miles with her one cart to go get some essentials so that they can eat.
Right.
And now you want to ask them, why are they blowing up Target? They don't give a fuck about Target. Because nobody cares about them.
Target doesn't care about them. Exactly. And I want to be clear too. We're not condoning violence. We're not saying that that's okay. We're not doing that. But you got to understand where the anger and the pain and the frustration comes from. You got to understand something before you could do anything to eradicate it. Right? You got to meet people where they're at. You got to understand that. This rage and this anger has been pent up, boiling up like a volcano. It's erupted. Now it's erupting like, oh my God, look what happened. Look at those Negroes. Look what they're doing. Oh my God. Well, they're thugs. They're animals. Look, see, we owe it. No. You created this. You created this. You created this moment, all these other moments. You created this. So please understand that. And understand that we're tired. Understand that we're tired. I don't condone violence. Absolutely not. But I understand being tired. And when I speak up and I sound and my voice raises, I'm angry. You damn right I'm angry. I'm angry because you're liars. I'm angry because you've been taking advantage of black people and people of color for far too long. I am tired of seeing my children murdered. I am tired of seeing my sisters raped. I am tired of seeing my men slaughtered because you are in fear of anything that has some type of melanin. Instead of understanding it, it makes no sense. I got to go back to that again. It makes no sense for you to say, and to think that, that the people of color, we're not going to exist. In 20 years, there's not going to be no white people. Would you please get some education? Get some education. The world is larger than your small little hillbilly community. The world is larger than your small little suburb where your white picket fences and thinking that's all there is. The world is larger than that. There's more to it than that. And you're not going to get rid of us. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to educate you. Africa is the largest continent. Africa, a continent that is made up, I can't even remember how many countries in this world, is the largest continent with billions of black folk. Sorry to burst your bubble.
And if you really want to take it farther than that, we were all one large continent and we started to break because of Pangea. So we were all one. But I mean, I don't know if we really want to talk about that, the fact that we were all one before the continent split.
Exactly.
That might just be too much. That might be too much for them to
but that's
handle.
why they don't even understand the Bible, because the Bible says what Tower of Babel. So if the Tower of Babel was created and then all of a sudden everybody started speaking another language, what is that saying? Everyone spoke the same language. The race didn't come into existence as a thing until white people started realizing they could capitalize off of it. Then they started going in and robbing and filtering and pirating other people's stuff. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Here I go, because you know I'm the person of the cloth too when I need to be. Read Exodus very carefully. Read Exodus very carefully. When God told Moses to put his hand inside his robe and to take it out when he was on that mountain, when he took it out, it came out white, leprosy, because the children of God did not listen and did not understand. If Moses' hand went into his robe and came out white, then it didn't go in white. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. If you really want to learn, understand. They were angry, April, when we learned how to read. They were angry. And this is a part of their anger.
That's not even so. I mean, if we talk about anger and how like, and then even right now, like there's still no clear cut lines of what's happening. Like it took literally for 50 states and different countries to shut it down for people to now say, oh, maybe. And then we have wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Trump, who is, oh my God, like that man said he was going to release dogs on people. Like instead of you issuing, and then the last statement was George Floyd would be happy because the employment rate is up. Or if you want to even get a little bit deeper, if you want to look at the speech that he gave to the Black community about why they should vote for him, because we had nothing else to lose. So why not vote for the slave owner?
Exactly.
Like why not vote for me? What do you got to lose? You don't got shit no way. Like this is how they learned that.
Exactly. No, I said they should have caught it then. Listen to what a person says. A person that speaks with what they say, what our indigenous people say, would say people who speak with forked tongues, right? Let's understand what he says. He's telling you something. So if he's saying, what do you have to lose? He's telling you, you won't have nothing anyway. It doesn't make a difference what we do, because no matter what we do, you're still going to be in the same situation. So you stuck with this or you're stuck with that. Either which way, none of it is good. Let's be clear.
And now everybody wants to, like, I can't get over the fact of Nancy Pelosi this morning on the news with the kente cloth on. Like, I really have a hard time getting past that, because I feel like that's how you chose to show up. Like, when I saw that, I was like, what are you doing? Like, that's a mockery. That's foolery. Like, ask us. Like, don't come just show up and think you have the right to show up in some kente cloth because now it's Black Lives Matter. And then everybody with the all lives matter. How do all lives matter if Black lives don't matter? But back to this kente cloth. Like the way that they are showing, I'm waiting for them to start singing Negro spirituals next. Like, what's next? How else are you guys gonna keep trying to act like you're progressive and keep making a mockery?
Exactly, and that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what I'm seeing. And I loved your post. I got to shout it out that you posted on Twitter. You said, look at Massa when Nancy Pelosi had kneeling with the kente cloth on. And you're right. You're right. We got to understand. I've been saying it now for a week or so. White allyship is to not be our voice, but to be a shield or stand beside us. You don't have the right to talk for us right now. You never had the right. But right now, we're talking about right now, I'm starting my white friends, my white allies, my white supporters. I do have love for you. But right now, I'm saying to you, you have absolutely no right to speak for me. You cannot. You've been telling my story. I am telling my story and my truth, and I'm going to tell my people's stories and my people's truth. You can't do that. You do not have our lived experience. You do not share our experiences. You have a privilege that you still don't understand, that you are using in this moment, and you're capitalizing off of it, whether you want to recognize it or not. So I am trying to educate you. You are using your white privilege again to silence us, marginalize us, overlook us, and underserve us. Be a white shield, not a white voice.
And give us access to your privilege. Like, give us access to all the privilege that you have. Be the shield. Give us your privilege. Give us your platforms. Allow us to use your platforms for our message. Be the shield. You're right. Like, and then I was watching Selma the other day, and I was so taken by how the same thing that we're dealing with today in the community is the same thing that they were dealing with back then. Like, we haven't progressed much. We still have voter suppression. We still have forms of segregation, because if you look at how these communities are broken down, like they're broken down into like Blacks right here, Hispanics right here. Like, we still have segregation. It's not as bad, but like nothing has changed. We still have racism. We still have police brutality. We still have, like, even right now, we're now watching the white protesters are the ones that are getting beat up because why they're on the front line. That's been going on since
Mhm.
back then. Like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And it's like, so what do we do as a nation to educate the nation and to move forward? Like, how do we move forward from where we
Right.
are right now?
So one things we want to understand, to allyship. What our definition of allyship and support means. It means, and I don't mean to put yourself on the front line to get hurt when I say white shield. I am saying to allow your privilege that you have to be a tool, a mechanism in which to support us in our work. We focus on mass incarceration. Mass incarceration, we know, is an extension of slavery and lynching and everything else that has been the cause of Black death and Black incarceration for so long, right? So we're asking you to use that to support our works, to support our movements, to ask us. Don't just jump out in front and just think that it's okay to do. Ask us for support. To me looks like, hey, calling, reaching me through email, whatever it may be. Donna, how can I support you right now? That's what the appropriate allyship and support is, right? And so we want to help you. We want to help educate you on our struggles and what it really means. This walk, this journey that we've shared collectively as Black people, people of color, right? And we want you to understand how mass incarceration has been the result of what you are seeing today. Remember, George Floyd was being arrested for a so-called an alleged a fake $20 bill, which no one's still talking about wasn't fake. Be clear. He was being arrested for a fake $20 bill. I pulled out 2 fake $20 bills out of an ATM in my history out here. 2 $20 bills that were fake. Thankfully, no one called the police on me. It came out of the bank. But let's be clear. What leads to incarceration? Everything that you're seeing leads to incarceration. The language, the narrative that's being scripted, that continues to be scripted about Black people, about their thugs, we're monsters, we're this, we're that. We are human beings. We have the right. We have the right to the basic human dignity. When I go to court, I don't have the same representation as you, and I don't have this people running to my help, to my aid. I was incarcerated for something I did not do. I did not do. But I could never get you to understand that or even know that, because they have marginalized my voice, they have silenced my voice, and they continue to do that. They continue to create a narrative that is not true, is not representative of Black people as a whole.
And so I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was telling them that the actual trap of mass incarceration that the other people have fallen into, whites, Hispanics, Asian, every other race, was an actual trap and a snare laid for Black people. Because it got so out of hand, now everybody has gotten caught up in this trap. And so that was my thing. Like, let's talk about it for real. This wasn't intended for anybody else. It was only intended for us. But when the laws became, like, they just started getting so outrageous and so more outrageous, and when the crime bill came into effect with Bill Clinton, and Biden also endorsed that, but when the crime bill came into effect, and then the drug epidemic came into effect, and so there was a time when we were going to jail and prison for minor infractions that would be considered minor infractions. Like, you have people still right now in jail behind weed and selling drugs. Or
exactly.
A person that has used drugs. And then when the Caucasian people started to get high, now they need services, they need treatment, they need all these different things because they're suffering.
Because it's a public health crisis.
But when it was us, send them to jail. They need to go to jail, split up the family. Like, CPS to me is a black market for babies. And so when you talk about this as a whole structure, like, there are so many systems that are continuously abusing the Black community, getting money from the government to provide reentry services that then now the company has gone broke somehow. Their budget is out while people aren't getting their housing. The welfare system, like the welfare system is criminalizing people for being poor. They're taking their kids, they're making them do all this ridiculous jump through hoops for this government funding that is still not enough. Like, nobody can still live off of this. And then you look at the social security system and how they treat their elderly people. Like, the system wasn't designed for anybody but white America to succeed. And so now we're at a turning point.
Yeah, they wrote the laws, and who benefits from the laws they wrote? They do, right? It's the white privilege, right? It leads to, it's still oppressive. It can be, so how would our white oppressors continue to why do we think that they would be the ones to liberate us? No, their knees are still in our necks. The knees is still in our necks. I'm off of parole, but you know, the knee's still in my neck. Why? Because I'm always going to have that cloud around me of being formerly incarcerated, that cloud, that whatever you want to label me as. And we got to be clear that the super predators and all those names came out of that time, that conversation. We'll talk about the crime bill. When we talk about defund the police, we're not saying to abolish the police entirely. We know we need some law enforcement. Why? Because we know people do some stuff. And we know that police, though, let's go into that history. The police was created because when the slaves were running for their freedom, they deputized folk to go chase down black people who are running for their lives. That's how policing in this country started. Let's be very clear in that history. So we have to be very clear and understand what people are fighting for and why we're fighting for it. Why we're fighting for it. Again, support means to allow us to tell our story. Allow us to tell, like April just said, the foster system, all these systems are systems of oppression that continue to have their knees in our necks, that continues to have their knees in our backs, that continue to isolate us. Poverty in itself is violent. Why do you think it is okay for somebody to be so hungry that they have no other choice but to go steal some food to eat and to feed their families? Why do we think that that's okay? That is violent. So when we hear this binary talk about nonviolent and violent and this and we got to separate, no, we have to look at the systems of oppression that continue to be violent, that continue to harm us and degrade us. We have to do that. We don't look at Martha Stewart and Robert Downey Jr. and those who have a record. But immediately you see Snoop Dogg, you're like, oh, he the one that was in prison. He was the one that was a criminal. He's the one that's this. Why? Because brother smoked some weed. Y'all are profiting off of it now. You is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And we still have black people incarcerated. Exactly.
People are still incarcerated for selling it.
Exactly.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but people are still incarcerated while they're making all this money off of it. So we got to wrap up. We got like a few minutes left. I just want to say, I will give one really final thought. And my challenge to the Black community is to really educate yourself. Yeah. When it's time to have discussions and debates, please know your history. Like, really know your history, because we have some very ignorant folks who want to argue us down on equality and oppression, and how Black lives, all lives matter, and they're sick and tired of white men are being murdered more. Well, you are the predominant population, so it makes sense that your number would be higher, but we still are getting killed at a higher rate. Like, we still are the majority of the rate of killings. And so I just really ask, like, when you guys see these posts and you see these different Twitter things, like, don't just post it. Read it. Make sure it's accurate. Make sure that you fact check it. Like, there's so many inaccurate things being released right now because they're trying to keep chaos amongst us. And let them tell it like we're ignorant, like they never wanted us to read, period. So I just really want to challenge you to educate yourself, like really understand the Civil War and civil history and like what took place and what, like, the fight between the North and the South and what they were really fighting over. Because if they could agree, then we never would have been free. Because they were both fighting for their own different things that they wanted, and they couldn't align in their belief systems. And also understand that Democrats used to be Republicans. Republicans were Democrats, but somehow the roles have switched. But if you don't do your history and you don't read these books that they have been suppressing for all these years, like when I was in school, colonization was a good thing. They didn't teach it as the brutality. They didn't teach it for what it really is. So
Exactly.
please stop
And let's be clear.
stop reposting, read,
Yes. Yes.
and know
And we're not,
your
yeah.
facts.
And we're not all in favor of can't wait. We're not all in favor of that because that is not doing anything for us. Let's be clear, people. We done made the Kardashian and Kardashians and Jenner rich. That's fine. I'm saying, okay, but I'm saying let us be rich, right? Let us create on other. Let's think about getting Black Wall Street again. Let's think about doing those things. How do we empower each other in our communities, our Black people? We have to understand we have to understand that there is power. These people don't understand anything but money. Money. When they see us, they see dollar signs. They see power in that, right? Let's take that back. You know what made Black Panther so popular and one of the highest grossing movies ever? Because Black folks got up and went to see it and supported it.
Oh, you know what they talk about really fast is the vote. The vote. So I think that, and also another challenge to the Black community, those of you who understand the vote and you understand the breakdown of the DAs and the legislators and whose district you're in, can you please make a toolkit for your communities because they don't understand. So everybody's saying, go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. They don't understand if they type in their zip code, they'll find out who their assembly person is. And that's the person, all you have to do. That's the person.
And you can register online. Register online. And for those of my people, our people that have a record, don't think you can't vote. Because I was being told that too. And one day I just registered. And guess what? Nothing stopped me. They didn't stop me. Don't ask them. Just like they say, don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, just register. More than likely, you'll be registered to vote. So go online, register to vote, find out who's in your community, who's running in the community, and now also think about running as well. We need to start voting our people in. That's when we'll see some real change on that front as well.
And also, that might go over a few people's heads, but for those of you who know, different legislators and assembly people, the senators, assembly people, they sit on subcommittees. And these subcommittees meet and they vote on different legislation as it pertains to the prison system, the budgets, the communities, the schools. Find out who's sitting where. Find out where your actual senator and your assembly person is sitting at. And go see what their agenda is. Because they care about their constituents. That's who votes them in. That's who gets these people in power. Everybody's looking at Trump. Trump is a fucking puppet. Trump can everybody can veto him if they were to rise up against him, but he's the puppet for what's going on behind the scenes. Because the real stuff, there's 3 different branches to the government. And Trump is just one small piece, but he is the puppet. So educate yourselves. Anybody who has knowledge about voting and knows how to maybe create a small toolkit for the community to bridge the gap, like let's end barriers to voting. That way people know and they're educated, and then they're not intimidated by going to these polls, because that's what they bank on. They bank on our ignorance, or they bank on that we've been criminalized so long. They're like, "Oh, our vote doesn't matter. Oh, our vote matters. Our vote matters.
Every vote counts."
Go ahead.
No, honey, I was just backing you up. Every vote counts. Don't think that it doesn't matter. You know why you see all these things, and people in New York and other parts of this country understand why our communities don't get the resources? Because our people don't go vote. So they know, they don't care, so we don't care. We really not gonna care, so we just not gonna give them anything. As soon as you see a Starbucks coming into the community, you know it's changing, right? You know it's changing. You know who's coming in, right? But if we come together and we use our collective voices, when I tell you that the organized people is louder and stronger than organized money any single day. Organized people will always beat organized money, organized power any single day. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me. If we did it in prison, if we did it in one of the most abnormal and most difficult places to organize and to get things done, we can do it out here. We organized in Bedford Hills. We organized and we changed the system. We got them to change the language in the system and the rules and regulations, the policy and procedures. They didn't even have women in the books. They didn't. Everything was he, him, them. It wasn't about her, she, nothing like that. We changed that. Because we organized and we showed them our power and our collective voices. So I'm telling you, we can get this done.
And don't be confused because you guys see a few police officers kneeling, or you see Pelosi with a kente cloth on. That wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have had to rise up. They want to suppress us. They want to suppress our voices. So they'll use little distractions for us to say, oh, they're listening. No, they're not. And the Constitution needs to be rewritten. So until they start to rewrite some stuff that was started from the beginning of time when we were deemed as 3/5 of people, until they start to rewrite that history and that language, I don't care how many kente cloths Nancy Pelosi puts on. She could put some box braids in her hair.
Oh, like Bo Derek did? And then it was the best thing. That was the best hairstyle ever because Bo Derek did it. The African braids that's been around for millennia. Okay.
Yeah, we doing a bit extra. So we just gonna yes, we need to rewrite our Constitution.
Exactly.
All this is directly related to slavery, the history, and we are now watching mass incarceration unfold as a derivative from the slave trade and the slave market.
Exactly.
Know your history, support your people, and people who are operating anti-Blackness, educate them and love on them. Like, lead with love. Lead with love. Because you're not going to win nobody by arguing and fighting. So lead with love.
And no, it's okay to be angry. Okay to be angry. Let anger be a tool to motivate you to change, motivate you to change, motivate you to instigate change. Allow that to be a tool, shape it in love because it's all right. Because if you don't get angry, that means you don't care. When you start getting angry, it means you start caring. It means that something's rising up in you and something is saying, no, something isn't right. Don't let them say that your anger is wrong. Don't let them say that your anger is ugly. Don't let them say that your anger is because you're a thug, you're a monster, you're less than. Don't let them say your anger is because you're 3/5 of a human being. Where is that proven at? Where is that proven? Please allow your anger to instigate change. Use it for good. Support us. Come out. Show up. Invest into the work that we're doing. Invest in to represent justice so you can help our work collectively. Invest into these small community-based organizations that are doing these works. Invest in them. Invest in Black women. Invest in Black women. Because we've been carrying this world on our stomachs and on our backs for millennia. We've been shouldering everyone for millennia. Invest in Black women.
Well, sister, I love you. I support you all the way over on the East Coast.
Me too. I got you, sis.
We shutting it down in Frisco. I support you. And you guys, be safe. Be safe out there because we have a lot of ignorant people that see our skin color. And right now they're very agitated. They're very agitated. So please be safe and lead with love. Go to Represent Justice. There's some you can write your assembly people, your governors, your sheriffs. Like, they have toolkits on the site to where if you needed some assistance in reaching out to your local government, they have created an easy toolkit. And take care of yourselves and be safe.
That's right. Know that you're beautiful and amazing people.
And we love you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Be safe, sis.
All right, babe.